What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And I just wanted to break down what's going on with Tesla stock, what you should be watching for as time goes on. I'm going to talk about why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we're going to see Tesla's deliveries coming out and how this may affect the share price for the company. I'm also going to break down what's happening with other tickers from SPY to Nvidia, the QQQ, and NEO. But before I break anything down all this information, let me just mention a few things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. We deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends very, very soon. So check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Tesla. So to be honest, guys, although technicals do not matter as much as they typically do, because Tesla is going to be reacting to big deliveries numbers very soon, I do want to note something very important. That is, from a technical standpoint, Tesla does look bullish, as we have this bullish falling wedge that has been developing, which could lead to a nice breakout very soon. But just to be safe, we'll be watching for the deliveries data. Now, I'm very late today, guys. That's because it's New Year's. I was away with family and I was just very busy, but I came back and I'm still here. I'm not going to let this stop me from giving you guys a nice report. But I just want to note that although Tesla and some reports mentioned that Tesla should have been reporting today, because of the new year, Tesla's not going to be reporting their deliveries. It's going to be coming out for tomorrow, most likely. And the reports suggest it's going to come tomorrow before the market opens. So I'll be talking about that very, very briefly. So when it comes to the whole market, I just want to note that we have some data coming out. It's very minor. At 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 15 minutes after the market opens, we have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI report. The last time the PMI report came out from Chicago, this was below expectations. This caused the market to slow down a bit. So just be careful with this. We'll watch and see what this looks like. So watch for volatility 15 minutes after the market opens. And then at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the construction spending month over month. This is also going to be very, very important. So watch for that. We'll see what this looks like as well. But this is all very minor data. It shouldn't cause anything too crazy. The biggest piece of data will be 15 minutes after the market open. That's it for the whole market, guys. I'm going to keep this kind of like short for that. Now let's just focus more on Tesla. So I went over this very earlier about Troy Tesla. They have a very similar expectations like me and also like other people out there. But basically, looking for a less than 3% error as usual, which is what Troy is basically saying, and that they're typically very close when it comes to expectations. Troy is basically estimating Tesla to give us about 479,000 deliveries for Q4. The analysts are saying it's going to be closer to like 480,000, which is very, very close. If anything, in my opinion, Tesla will likely hit around 480,000. I think it's going to be, very, very close, if anything. So watch this for Q4 of 2023. For the total deliveries for the entire year, this comes out to about 1.8 million. Let's hope Tesla gets very close to that, which is what Elon Musk announced during the Q3 earnings report. Now, I found another very, very important article right here. Basically, some news came out right over here that Tesla's IR compiled consensus was listed at 480.5 thousand deliveries for Q4. That's 1.8 million for 2023. That is very, very important. So we'll see if Tesla can actually meet those expectations. But if we go down right here, you can see the Tesla IR compiled consensus for Q4 is 480.5 thousand, which implies 1.805 million total deliveries for 2023. We'll see if that ends up happening. Now, Tesla's supposedly going to be reporting this for Q4 before the market opens tomorrow. So it's been delayed just a little bit. We'll see if that ends up being the case. Most likely, yes, it's going to be tomorrow. I'm very confident it's going to be tomorrow sometime. Most likely before market opens. So that's when it should be coming out. That's what all the reports are saying. So let's see when Tesla reports them, and I'll be reporting that for tomorrow. Looking at the consensus, we're looking at some very, very interesting numbers. So for the quarter, or at least for 2023, we were looking at about 64,000 S and X's that were sold. Those are the models for Tesla, and about 1.738 million of the Model 3 and Ys. It's going to be very interesting to see. I'm very confident that Tesla is going to at least come close, if not beat expectations. That's what they typically do. But the real question is, to what degree? Do they smash expectations? Are they going to do like 1.84, almost 1.9 million? Or is it going to be very close? And I think that there's a good chance it's going to be close, but just to be safe, we'll just wait and see how Tesla does. There's also some news that came out for Tesla. I just want to note that Tesla is going to be updating its list of vehicles eligible for the federal tax credit, and it's confirmed so far that the Model Y variants are all basically retaining access to full tax credit. So that's basically But there are some changes here, and I'm going to list this in just a second. So we have the Model 3 Performance, which is going to be qualifying. We have the Model X Dual Motor, and then we have all the Model Ys, basically the performance, long range, RWD, and etc. So that's pretty good news for Tesla, but there are some changes now. It's not like every single Tesla model. But this is news that Tesla already priced in, so it's nothing. It shouldn't be that significant compared to deliveries. Now, just one more little hints for you guys. I think Neo had some good numbers as well. Once this loads, you guys could see Neo did 18,000 deliveries for December, putting them at 50,000 deliveries for the quarter, which is above the 47 to 49,000 expectations that Wall Street had. So they beat for the quarterly deliveries. They beat for December. This is bullish news, and this could help NEO bounce quite a bit. Just wanted to call that out. Anyways, for Tesla, what are we going to be looking for? So we have a bullish falling wedge, which suggests that there's going to be a good chance of it gapping up and going, but not going to promise it until we see deliveries. I'm going to be looking for the numbers first before I make any claims, or I become like more convicted in a particular direction, right? Just to be safe. For support, watch 247. If we lose this, we have 244 coming. If that fails us, 240 is next for Tesla. And then we have the 230s coming next if we're really bearish. If we're bullish, if this wedge leads to a breakout to the upside, watch resistance. We have some resistance at 250. It's definitely not going to be a small move. We'll easily launch much higher if we do go up. Watch 252, 256, 260, 262, and then this yellow trend line close to 265 if we do break out. I do favor the upside a bit more because Tesla is known for beating expectations. A lot of investors are optimistic. And finally, because we have a bullish falling wedge, I am taking that into consideration. But once again, I'm not 100% convicted. I don't know for sure what the numbers will be. So we'll just have to wait and see tomorrow. Hopefully, while I'm recording my video, the numbers come out and I can talk to you guys live when they come out and just talk about everything. So with that being said, that's it for Tesla thus far. What about for SPY? And this is where things become very interesting. Excuse me. So for SPY, in my opinion, has potential downside that could be coming because we got this break to the downside from this rising wedge. And it's also because of the fact that we just held up very nicely for very, very long without getting any sort of pullback. There could be a change in market structure. That's one of the things I want you guys to pay attention to. So do we see SPY do something like this where we kind of push, come back up, and just come back down, right? This would be lower highs and lower lows. The trend has been higher highs and higher lows for quite some time, but we broke this low right here. So we could be forming either a new channel, we could be just dropping depending on if we're forming a flag or not. So what I'd be watching for is kind of a support zone like this, just to see if SPY kind of holds. We can make this looking symmetrical looking support right over here as well, because kind of like this. And then we're going to be watching to see, do we pop up to this resistance right over here at this 476 area, reject, and start downtrending slowly, make our way down towards 472. That is very probable on SPY thus far, but just to be safe, make sure you watch the levels. I would say that the levels matter more than which way we kind of go in a way. So for example, if we do kind of pop and drop, make sure you watch 476 as resistance. Watch to see if we reject off of that. Watch 475 as support, then 474. If we close below 474, that's going to be a bearish signal. SPY is going to likely retrace to the much lower 470s if that ends up being the case. And that's what I mean by the levels. So I think a pop is going to come in the morning. The market's going to push up as we start the year, but it might not last. The market could turn as time goes on. So watch and see if we pop and drop as time goes on. And then watch our supply and demand zones, at least for the time being. My analysis is basically identical for the QQQ. The structure right now, by the way, is favoring the bears a little bit more because we did break below this wedge right here. We had this bearish looking rising wedge, and we could be looking for a change in our overall direction. So this does favor the bears a little bit more, but just to be safe, watch your levels just to be safe. On the QQQ, make sure you watch the levels. We have resistance at 410. It's basically every dollar, at least right now, which is very interesting about it. So we have 410, 411. We have some support right over there, which is now going to become resistance. 412 is resistance. 413 is resistance, which is where we rejected. Pretty wild stuff. For support, make sure you watch 408. If we fail there, our next support is going to be around 406.6, and we have 405.7. So overall, I would say the QQQ favors the bears a little bit more because here's why. We had this rising wedge, right? We had this rising wedge. We've been running like crazy, and we also are starting to switch our direction as well. So watch that very carefully. About SPY and the QQQ, I just want to mention that we also have bearish divergences on SPY. We technically have it. QQQ has it as well. A lot of different charts have it. And we look kind of bearish on the 4 hours. So just be a little bit careful with SPY. especially at 472. For the QQQ, going back to it, I just want to mention that it's the same thing. Basically, it's looking kind of weaker than SPY. 407 could be tested. It looks like it's going to test that at the 50 EMA test. We also have a gap all the way down here at 403. So QQQ looks kind of bearish. It is favoring the bears a little bit more, so just be a little bit careful with SPY and the QQQ to start off the year. So that being said, watch your levels. We might pop tomorrow, but as the week goes on, I think some downside is imminent. So just be a little bit careful just based off the charts for now. It could pop a little bit at first thanks to Tesla and hold up temporarily before it starts to sink. Tesla is going to dictate that as well, but ultimately I do favor the bears a little bit more for like the overall week. For Nvidia, I favor the bears a little bit more because rising wedge that was forming. We started to break out of it. You guys can see it's starting to fail here, especially during the after hours on Friday. And on top of that, we have this tight resistance between 500 and also, 498 to 500 and also around 504. Notice how we had this resistance at 498 to 500, which is where these wicks formed. And then 504 is where we rejected as well. So we had two big rejections here. We touched this area, kind of rejecting again. So it's not looking that great for the bulls. It might pop towards 498 to 500 again, then reject, make its way down towards 490, very close to where this blue trend line is. If this fails us, there's going to be 488. That's going to be our next support below that. So I think a little pop and drop is very probable. We could see some downside, so watch that very carefully, and we'll just have to see how it goes. As of right now, we're at 493. I think it could push a little bit to the upside when we open, then reject, and I think that's a move to the downside is coming towards that 490 support, followed by 488. But I'm not saying it's going to crash all the way down to like 400, 399. No, I'm not saying that. Just saying a very healthy little test of those lower levels could be coming. We'll watch how it goes from there. Last but not least, for Apple stock, before I end this video, I just want to mention that Apple, we had this falling wedge. It tried to break out, it ended up failing, and now it's not looking that great because it's kind of struggling to really break out and hold support. So I would say watch support at this like 190 to 191 area support. 192 to 192.5 is kind of a range trading. Then we have this zone 195-ish level is going to be like where we have resistance. I think the Apple is going to range trade for a bit. Might push up to 193.5, maybe even 194.4, come back down, just be stuck between these levels. Might range trade before we end up picking a direction. It's not very strong, it's not extremely weak because it's trying to base around 190, but it's going to be stuck for some time, and we'll be watching to see which way it breaks. If it could close above 195, it's going to be bullish. If it closes below overall like 190, it's going to turn more bearish. So we're going to be watching these levels. We're kind of stuck for now. We'll be very, very patient as time goes on. Anyways, that's pretty much it for Apple, guys. Make sure for Tesla, although we do have a bullish looking setup technically from a technical standpoint, no promises can be made until we see the data. So we'll see how this goes for tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow morning to report that. And then additionally, I just want to mention that there's one more setup I'm going to be watching, that is NEO. NEO, although it's looking kind of weak on the smaller time frames, the weekly is starting to look strong. We got a bullish crossover on the PPO. With bullish looking deliveries numbers, we could be looking for a test of the 50 EMA at 10.21. We could even try to break this. So if it does break that, I mean, we could get closer to 11. But just to be safe, watch and see if we can get above 9.4 and 9.7. If we break those resistance levels, 10 and then 10.2 are coming. NEO has some upside potential after what I witnessed looking at their data. Strong numbers, so let's just wish for the best. With that being said, guys, Tesla is going to be the main focus of the show tomorrow. Let's hope Tesla does well for deliveries. Let's hope they beat expectations. I'll be back tomorrow to report how it goes. Have a very happy new year, guys. Enjoy time with families. Do what you have to do, and I'll see you guys very soon as time goes on. See you guys tomorrow morning. Tesla in the market to the moon, and peace out.